Okay, so good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Thank you for watching DevRel Asia 2020 interview sessions. I'm Archie, mainly organizer of the conference, and in this time, I will introduce our awesome speaker and chat with them about their talk in 15 minutes. So today's guest is Mathew at Microsoft. Welcome, Annie. Hi, Annie. Oh, okay. So unmute it. Oh, sorry. You were muted, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Very good and happy to be here. Thanks for having me at 50.
Thank you for coming. So, and I will show the banners. And at first, please introduce yourself and your careers. I think you have so great careers and your job role and anything. What like your favorite tech movies, favorite idol stars, or anything about you, please.
Thank you. Well, yes, I've been in the industry for over 25 years, and I've shifted industries like manufacturing, IT products, software products, wireless, and now at Microsoft. And I find that there are things you bring over from industry, so it's a great journey. I'm currently developer relations lead for Microsoft Asia Pacific. My job is to win the hearts and minds of developers across here and help them in a way to using the latest technology and help them understand Azure and what they can do with it. In that journey, I personally like meeting people and developing relationships with them, helping them. I worked a lot with students, startups, and professional developers. So all of these experiences come together in making this profession quite interesting, though there are a lot of challenges as well. What I like to do, well, I do read a bit, and I love art in all forms, whether it's Indian classical music or dancing to the Western jazz and all of that. So any span of music and dance, I really love and love to take a try at it. So yes, food. I live in Malaysia, and this is a food place. So there's so much food to explore from all across Asia. You should come over and try some with us here. So yeah, food is also another interesting area to talk about.
I see. So can I ask you something? So you are committee members of uh, H HIMSS India's. So you improve to the woman in health IT committees. So I think IT and healthy is very like unbalanced something. So how to
Yes,
improve it? Yeah.
indeed. In fact, tech, healthcare, and women are
Mm,
three areas that I'm super passionate about. And in HIMS is a global nonprofit organization which drives tech into healthcare.
mm,
And
mm,
so it was quite a natural pull for me to join the board of directors with HIMS India.
mm,
And as part of the board, I got a chance to create this committee and chair it for women in health IT. So it kind of brought
mm,
all the three passions together: tech, healthcare,
mm.
and women.
Yes, yeah. So I think everyone's every time sitting in the chairs and watching the monitor a lot of times. So I think that is not healthy. So everyone.
Yes, yes. And we talk hardcore health into healthcare
Mm,
providers, government
mm,
policies, etc. But
mm,
interestingly, even in the industry forums and even at HIMSS, when I sit at the board table, you have 9 men and you have 1 woman.
mm,
And
mm,
I'm constantly surprised how far we've come and yet
mm.
how far to go.
I see. Yeah. And one more questions. You have so many professional programmers and students, right? So I think they have there is a gap for cultures for IT technologies, right? So professional focus on the programming for life or their like a business, but the students moving their passion, right? So what is uh, what is a big difference each other's professional and students?
Well, I think students are really at that place where, especially today, that they're primed for innovation. They
Innovation.
are willing to try all sorts of technologies, and there is, I think, especially with today's millennial, there is a need for social impact. You can
Mm,
see that whether it is climate change or just the COVID
mm,
response. And if you look across countries and the governments, and they're talking about how do we respond to COVID post this time, how do we recover economies? A lot
mm,
of the
mm,
hope of nations are pinned on the students and the
mm,
youth of those countries. So they have
mm,
a huge responsibility at this point as well
mm,
as opportunity, if I would say
mm.
so. Now,
I see.
yeah, and professional developers, of course, they have the ability to go deep into a technology, and if these constituents come together, I think magic can happen. Nations will truly benefit from that.
I see. So you live in several countries like Malaysia and India or somewhere. So what is the difference each countries for uh, IT?
That's an interesting question, Atsushi. I do see a lot of difference. I moved to Asia Pacific region and handle regions all across Southeast Asia, Korea, and
Mm,
New Zealand from
mm,
Malaysia. So in India, I think I used to think that uh, Indian tech people, even between North India and South India, were different. South
Mm.
India was like, let's talk technology, let's try this out, let's get hands on.
Mm.
And in the northern part of India, it was more like, show me the money. What is this technology going to do for my business? I want to know that first
Mm.
before I dive deeper into the technology.
Mm.
And you can see those variations across Asia Pacific, where
Oh.
at one end in New Zealand and Korea, they go really deep into the technology areas.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I struggle with other parts of ASEAN where they want to hear more, not willing to go hands on and try it. And we want everybody
Mm.
to go hands on with technology. That's
Mm.
the only way to learn it, right?
Yeah. Mm. I see. Okay, so we will move to the next topic about your talk. So your talk title is "Thus Elusive Bridge Between Developer Advocacy and Sales." That's very difficult theme or object for me. So please, could you please introduce your abstract or summary?
Okay, this is something I do feel quite passionately about now, having been in this developer relations role for quite some time. And I've seen developer relations role shift and morph couple of times over the last few years. And one thing that has struck me is that it has to be a sustainable part of the organization. It cannot be a standalone piece of the organization, which is just talking about working with developers, swags, and good stuff, and love, and all of that. It has to tie into the overall organization goal. Because you're part of that organization, there is a time and place in the communities for doing something entirely that has no relevance to anything else, but just for the love of technology, we go and we talk and teach technology. So that is there. But if you look holistically, there are three constituents that developer relations needs to work with within the organization. One is marketing, the other is engineering, and these two, I think, we're pretty much done over the past few years. Sales is another constituent I think we should engage with very much now in our next stage of maturity. And the reason I would say that is because look at the developer who's sitting in our customer organizations. The sales folks are trying to help them get the right tools and product to them. The developers themselves need and want help in terms of understanding there's this wide plethora of cloud and services and stuff. And look at the innovation. There's 100 services coming on every month or every quarter. So much going on in the tech space. It's like drinking from a fire hose. So one of the key points that developers grapple with is when to use the right technology. So obviously the salesperson is trying to say that these technologies are good. The developer is trying to figure out what technology should I use where and why. And the developer relations team is working with the developers and trying to help them understand how, what, and why to use certain services. Isn't there an obvious intersect between all these three? I think yes. And it is high time that we started working together. And if I look at sellers and developers, they're like kind of in two continents. So, and I was looking at how do we bridge this gap and came across the shortest international bridge between two countries, which is between Spain and Portugal. It's called El Marco. Well, what we need is an El Marco, bridging between sales and developers. And developer relations team is primely positioned to create that connect. Once that connect is made, what will happen is that sellers understand developer needs better. Developers understand when to ask the seller for what kind of a portfolio. And developer relations actually can help hack with the developers and the sellers and kind of figure out how do you solve these problems using these technologies? Well, that bridge is still elusive, and I dream of this short bridge between these two continents that we can make happen, and think of the culture and content interchange that could happen between these two continents if that bridge is made. So I think it's essential and imperative for sales folks to understand that developers are decision makers in tech purchase decisions, and they think differently. They don't like being marketed to, they don't like being sold to, but they don't mind being helped in understanding how a certain product or something can help them. But to do that helping, you need to understand them better and their problems better before you can go in and say this product is good or not good or try another thing. So, and I believe, and in this talk, I'm going to talk about the art and science of that bridge that you can build between sellers and developers, or rather, sellers and developer advocacy, if you will.
I see. I think this is very interesting stories because you about it because you work at Microsoft. So Microsoft, I think 5 or 8 years Microsoft focus on the just business, but currently they making open source software a lot, and they change mind completely. So your talk is very interesting about me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm,
Microsoft has been, it was born as a developer company. So we
mm,
have that DNA with us that we can
mm.
leverage for this.
Yeah, but I think most of public companies want to focus on the uh, developers, but most of uh, companies cannot do that because uh, sales is very important major method for them, I think.
Right, that is true. And my whole point is that developer relations will increase at sales velocity. You
Mm,
just need to understand that do not make them a sales organization,
mm-hmm,
do not make them a marketing organization, but
mm,
it kind of bridges between marketing and sales,
mm.
definitely.
I,
And so if you give them that the space to be independent of those sales revenue targets, if you
mm,
will,
mm, mm.
but also influence revenue because there's significant influence from developer advocacy to sales.
I see. So I think most of salespersons or developer relations marketers should listen your talk. So maybe they can get a lot of knowledge from your talk.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I'm hoping to learn from them as well.
okay. So in this time, interview is done. So our conference, DevRel Asia 2020, will be held on the November 14th. So watching everyone's save the date and waiting the date. Okay, so thank you, Annie. You will have great careers of developer relations, and I can't wait listen your talk. So,
Thank you, Atsushi,
okay,
and see you there.
yes,
See
yeah,
everybody
see
there.
you. Yeah, okay. See you soon.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah. Bye. Okay, everyone. So see you next interview.